This demonstration we're going to take a look at a dashboard designer. First we've got business intelligence site on open, and we're going to go into PerformancePoint Services and then run dashboard designer, a one-click application. And it fired on up in here. As you can see in the lower right, I've got a dashboard open. I'm going to close that on out so I can show you some other things. And here is my untitled dashboard that I just connected into. You notice I have the Workspace Browser open, and up top I've got both SharePoint and Workspace tabs. Now if I go in and create a new workspace, and I will not save, notice the SharePoint tab is gone. Notice I can select nothing off of my tabs except for add list, which I will do. And now I'm looking in at SharePoint. I'm going to select data connections. There's the data connections that are available on SharePoint. And again, now the SharePoint tab is back, but Workspace is still empty. And I can refresh the content of SharePoint. Now I'll add lists again, and this time I'll select PerformancePoint content. Now here's all the information, all the types that are available, the first class objects on SharePoint. You notice I'm connected into the name of my server's desktop, and it's on port 1766. Looking at the designer options, the default place where I'm going to save it. Looking at server, this ties me to what we just looked at, desktop 1766, and a little bit of about information. Workspace is still empty for my PerformancePoint content. Back in data connections, I'm going to select AdventureWorks and double click it, which adds the connection, the data source or data connection, into my workspace. See, now Workspace has it, and if I go back over to SharePoint, I see that the data connection is now in the workspace. So different workspaces can have different content downloaded from SharePoint. Now I can save the workspace, so I would give it a clever name. Demo of DD, Demo of Dashboard Designer, and I'm going to save it into any location I want. In this case, down here I'm going to save it in the desktop. Of course, I could save it into SharePoint also. Now my workspace is saved, and if you notice it's also named. Now coming through and edit, I still show grayed out, but if I go to PerformancePoint content now, and get to the right tab, which, well, let me show you import items. Here if I clicked import items, I could import items from another workspace. Now over on create, you see I'm selectable now. I'm going to come in and just create any object. I'll pick a KPI, and I've got a name in here, properties, and I change the property, the name, to something that you'll be able to identify it with, demo of DD. And I'm going to come back over into the editor, and just to show you that I have some fixed values, really just a very basic KPI. I'm going to change the display folder. All these changes will reflect into SharePoint when I store the objects. Now in Dashboard Designer, you see it's been moved into a folder, and I can create any object I want. For example, here's an indicator, and I'll just select one just to create an object. Give it a name. Now over in the editor, notice the name's reflected. The little pencil icon means it has not been posted back up into SharePoint. If I come out down and look at properties now, watch this. Property page will open up in SharePoint, and notice the title, New KPI 2. Yet we had changed the name down in Designer to Demo of whatever we changed it to. Now if I save all, saving my indicator and my KPI, now go back into the Properties page, and there we are, Demo of DD KPI. So we are synced up. Permissions page would allow you to change permissions on the object in SharePoint, PerformancePoint Services, which actually is within SharePoint. Now I'm comparing the item, because remember I saved it up, so what's up on the server and what's there is the same. But watch this. We're going to change source. I'm going to go into AdventureWorks. I'm going to pick something. Discount percentage sounds good. I just want to do a change value. And now I'm going to say compare items. And you'll note PerformancePoint tells me that I have a different value in my workspace as is existing right now up on PerformancePoint. And if I mark differences, any objects over in the browser that are at difference or at variance are going to come through and show me that difference.